I feel like in why faith always feels risky is we want clarity, and God just simply wants our surrender.
I remember I was tasked and challenged from a mentor of looking at people in my career path that were 5 and 10 years ahead of me. There's a type of money and there's an amount of money. And he goes, they have an amount of money. Those people that are 5 and 10 years ahead, there's an amount of money. But they have the quality of life that you want. Do they have the marriage that you want? Do they have the relationships with their kids that you want? Just because somebody is 5 and 10 years down the road from you and they look successful from the outside, they may be totally broken on the inside.
Step into your obedience, step into your calling, and God will pave the way. The American dream is having control of our life, our outcome, our input. We don't really realize our input is negative. It's not godly.
Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. I am your co-host, Brian Owen, alongside my wife, Kersha.
Hi.
And we are coming to you via remote destination. You just never know where we're going to be when we record these things. But we are definitely excited to be coming to you today, kind of taking on part 2 of the sequel that we've talked about in the past around the topic of
the American dream versus God's plan.
Yes. So we're unpacking kind of section 2 of this today. If you have not already followed and liked and are subscribed to our podcast community, please do so. If there's something that resonates to you that comes out of this podcast, you're like, man, I really want to share this with somebody, please forward that along. That's how our community grows and how it expands. And we have some really exciting things coming into the spring and summer of 2026 with our podcast. And she is shivering because the breeze is blowing.
Nope, just scooting over.
So again, we thank you for being here today. And so unpacking part number 2 of the American dream versus God's plan.
Yes.
So let's go. Let's
start with faith requires letting go and letting God.
Okay.
And control really is the root of that, right? Like the American dream is having control of our life, our outcome, our input. And oftentimes we kind of fall into this chasm, honestly, of we don't really realize our input is negative. It's not godly.
Okay.
It's not spiritual. It's not feeding our soul, which then feeds us, right? And like pulls emphasis out of us that is godly, right? Like the fruits of the Spirit are being kind, full of joy, humility. And so are the inputs, are they pulling those out of us, or are they hushing them up inside of us?
Okay. So I think I'll kind of piggyback off of that with the inputs that we're having. We've been very blessed to get around just other Christian people, Christian entrepreneurs this week, and input from them. It's amazing. Again, sometimes we feel, hey, I'm strong enough to go through this. I'm strong enough to do this on my own. I can open up the book. I can read the Bible. I can do my daily devotional. But the reality is it will get you started, but does it keep you going? And this week has really just been invigorating for, I think, you and I. I mean, we feel like pretty confident people and pretty strong people in areas, but man, meeting some people from around the globe, even as we're here.
Absolutely.
We still have a long ways to go. And I think that's the saying of, when you think you know, you don't know.
Right.
And you just have to keep learning.
Or when you think you know enough, you still have
Oh, yeah.
a lot of room to learn, you know.
Oh, yeah.
One thing though, I feel like in why faith always feels risky is we want clarity, and God just simply wants our surrender. Yeah. He just wants us to let go and let him work. Yeah. Let him work in us and let him work on the things around us, and to give that back to him,
Clarity, and I want to know, hey, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I pray for it, it's going to happen. That doesn't always come out. Like there's no guarantee on the backside of this. The only thing that we're guaranteed is that you're going to be born, you're going to pay taxes, you're going to die, and you go to heaven.
okay, I'm going to countercultural that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I'm going to insert God
Okay.
in this, okay? The humanly aspect is that we're guaranteed to be born, to pay taxes, and to die, right? But when God lays something on you, on your heart, it is biblical that what he says is done because he's already been to the end and knows everything from the beginning to the end and can speak from the beginning what the end will look like. And so as long as you have God in your recipe for life,
Yeah.
and he has placed that call on you and he has asked you to do it, it will be done.
Well, yeah. And I know we talked about it a little bit last time, but allowing space for that.
Right.
I think that's where we all have tendencies. We're all guilty of my day is busy. It's packed, and I don't allow time for the fruit of the Spirit to truly anchor itself. And so then you're going through the motions.
Right.
And it's the, well, I did this, so I should get type of mindset. And it's like, well, wait a minute. No, you were doing that, but you missed something because you were just go.
Or just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't.
Correct.
At all.
Oh.
And I think that that's a big piece too for all of us. Yep. So a verse I wanted to say was John 10:27. My sheep hear my voice and they follow me. That does not mean that they analyze, they debate, they delay. That simply means that they take up their cross and they follow. And in that, we can get stuck in the disobedience of life, right?
Yep.
Like this is a phrase that our Pastor Sean Phillips has used before, and I don't know who it really is accredited to, if he stole it from someone or what.
Well, we'll just say Sean.
But Sean did it. Delayed obedience is still disobedience.
Correct.
And that's been a big piece. That has come up several times in Brian and I's journey of life, of, okay, God asked me to do this. He did not say it's happening tomorrow. He did not say it's happening in a year. He just said to do this task. And if I need help or support, or Brian needs help or support on that, then we come to the table with, okay, I'm going to help you stay obedient because delayed obedience is still disobedient, And if you think about it, like biblical people, Jonah delayed and a storm came. Right?
Yeah.
In Jonah 1, Saul delayed and lost his kingdom.
Yeah.
The rich young ruler hesitated and walked away sorrowful. Okay?
Yeah.
And so talk about like in ways in which we've delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can share this story very easily. God had asked me to draw out our next house plans. And I wanted it to be our house plans, not my house plans. Because if I'm going to draw out house plans that our family is going to live in, I want his input in that. And it wasn't a task that God gave him. It was a task he gave me. But I wanted input. And so my disobedience was waiting around for input rather than doing the task. And I remember coming to you and saying to you, my delay in obedience is still disobedient. I just want to be obedient to our God. I don't know what these house plans are for. I don't know who they're for. I don't even know if they're for us.
Yeah.
But he wants our personality in it for some reason. And so that's what we're going to do.
Well, I think there's this natural tendency, rebellious tendency.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's definitely a learned piece, because it's not natural to be rebellious. It is a learned component. I think Adam, we go clear back to Genesis, Adam and Eve and Adam and Eve sin in the garden. Like there's components to that we could unpack probably. But I think the rebellion aspect, just like you were saying, well, I'll do that tomorrow. And it's very easy to procrastinate in life, I feel like. And that, again, is a learned piece over time. Well, I don't have to do it until then, so I'm just going to take some time right now. And I think, again, that goes back to if we're truly listening to the Holy Spirit, if we're truly listening and we're hearing these things from God, are we putting them into action? I think so many of us, information constipation happens. I'm guilty of that.
Yep.
Like, I want to take all this in. I know countless friends of mine, they're like, man, I want to research this cool thing. And I know who to call if I'm looking for a new TV, or if my kids are talking about an e-bike or a new game system. I know who to call because they've researched it to the nth degree. The new iPhone comes out. You know who to call because that's not me. I don't research stuff well enough. I am more of if she says to do it, I just start going. I'm not going to have all the pieces. And sometimes that can get you off course and can slow things down, but at least we're still moving forward. I don't want to just stay stagnant, because that's where I think the delayed obedience is still disobedience. It paralyzes people sometimes.
Right. And in Luke chapter 6, verse 46, it says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say?" And so, why do we ask God to give us a pathway, or to give us an outcome, of some sort, whether it be a job change, or even non-materialistic? Why do we ask for him to give us a family down the road and then not do that, or to question the integrity of the source under which we've been praying to? Like, if you're praying to ask God to give you something and he does, you should be thankful. And if you pray for direction in that thing, you should be thankful that he helped solve all your problems before they became problems.
We talked about in the last episode of this, The American Dream, of who are the Joneses, and we don't know who these people are, and we're trying to keep up with them.
Who are the Joneses?
But we ask for those things, and we get excited that I want these things. And then sometimes you get them and you're kind of like, why? I mean, I think back when the Apple Watch first came out.
Oh.
I remember, I was like, man,
he's had to have it.
That is the coolest thing. And I was like, babe, I really want that. Well, it was very expensive. And I'm like, I can't, me being Mr. Frugal like I was, I just.
You got it for your birthday.
I did.
It was a gift.
Well, but we set parameters around our business too. We were like, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And then kind of as a reward, we'll go do that. And that was fine. It worked for us. Some people that works for them. But again, I think that there's these things that come out, and we love marketing. Marketing does a great job of enticing us to these things.
Right.
And it's like, at the end of the day, is that fulfilling you? Because I remember when I got that watch, it was like, okay, I have it. Now it's like, it just added more to my ADD, because it would go and vibrate and all these things. And it is what it is. But I think it's still we think these things are going to fill us.
Right.
And the reality is, the source of that fulfillment is God himself, is Jesus.
Right.
Is the word.
Right.
And getting into the word. And that could be just a simple phrase. It could be an entire chapter, because again, people can dig into it and can. I cannot recite every aspect of the Bible. I'm not that proficient in it. I'm still working on that. I have read the Bible from cover to cover, and it made zero sense to me, because it's like I got stuck in all these, because it wasn't chronological in my, it's not mapped out that way. But then when you start taking these different pieces and extract things that are applicable in your life, I think that's where, again, every question that we have, every maybe hesitation or delay,
right?
If we go back into the word, you can find the answers to it. Is it the answer we want? Maybe not. But the answer,
most often, probably not, because it's stretching us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when we get uncomfortable, we're like, no, I don't want to be stretched there. I want to go back to my comfort, Yeah. But this is a really important and probably fiery phrase. Partial surrender is still rebellion.
That's kind of like going 99% of the way. It's still failure.
Right.
Because you still sank. If I was going to swim 99% of the way across the English Channel, I'm drowning. I didn't make it all the way.
Right. Right.
You can't kind of be pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. Is that fair? I don't know. That's true.
So what do you say for the men that say, oh, we're pregnant? No, my wife is pregnant. We're expecting a baby.
Well, we put the baby weight on with you. We support you. It's support.
Which you're not 100% pregnant.
See,
you are 100%
you're just confusing my brain right now. That's fine. Let's go on to this next subject.
Okay.
Faith that moves. Okay, go ahead.
Go
Faith that moves heaven.
When obedience looks foolish to people, it looks faithful to God.
So I think back to, again, the questions, the disobedience, the things that we are seeking out and we find in the Bible sometimes stretch us or challenge us, as you said. What will others think? What will the Joneses think? What will the Smiths think? What will my boss think? What will my friends think if I do this? Remember back when we had Chris Robinson on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that just stands out to me just like that. Chris saying, man, I have this status lifestyle. He had the Hummer, they had the house, they had all this stuff. And just even the first few pages of his book, From Drift to Drive, like if it doesn't pull you in, I don't know why it wouldn't. But, to have a sheriff knock on your door and you're being evicted from your home, status is going to go out of the way pretty quick and you're not going to care. But we get hung up in that. And I think if we're not stretching ourselves and taking our eyes inwardly, or I'd be looking heavenly.
Yeah.
But I want to take them off of material things.
Right.
And
it goes back to that analogy. Instead of looking out, you're looking up.
There you go.
And keep your eyes looking up.
True north.
Yeah. Even if God has a call in your life, make sure that you're still praising him and looking up for the journey, even when the journey isn't the way that we intended it to go. Can
I use your line you just came up with yesterday?
Sure.
A purpose-driven faith. So that would be like a true north statement right there. Purpose-driven faith.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of in sync with, the obedience to that. Like it will look foolish from the outside sometimes. When we sold the boat, it looked crazy from the outside. When we didn't take a vacation or we didn't, well, why can't you guys go down here for the weekend? Why can't you travel down to this place? Why do you squeak when you walk? I was asked that. And it's like, yeah, I was tight.
Really was.
I was tight. But see, no one sees the 10 years or 15 years of you doing something, the working the fields, the tilling of the soil. They don't see that. They only see, gosh, you got to build this, you got to do this, you got to experience things.
They make fun of your journey, but then they relish in your fulfillment.
Yeah.
And really they're like, man, I couldn't have done that. Well, no, you could have. You chose not to, And it goes back to, you want what we have, but are you willing to do the things that we did to get what we have, right? And that's not saying us as in the we, right? Like we're still in the process of obtaining our dreams and our goals. And I don't know that our dreams and goals will ever fully be obtained until we get to heaven, right? But so many people look at the beautiful mansion and the nice cars. Are you willing to do the work that they did to get what they have? And are they truly living the life that you really want? That's really the question. Yeah. What do their relationships look like? What does their marriage look like? What does their spiritual life with God look like? Is that really what you want? Is that really the quality,
Quality of life. I remember I was challenged early on.
I wanted to really quick step in.
Derail that. Yeah, go ahead.
1 Corinthians 1.
Hope I don't lose the
27. Hold on to your thought. Pin it. Beep. God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise.
1 Corinthians 1:27.
Yes.
God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise.
So think about that. Like, is what you want, is that a foolish desire?
No.
Just to be shameful?
Okay, before I forget my thought.
Go.
I remember I was tasked and challenged from a mentor of looking at people in my career path that were 5 and 10 years ahead of me. And he said, he goes, take their financials out of it. I don't care. He's like, the money's a different aspect of this because there's a type of money and there's an amount of money. And he goes, they have an amount of money. Those people that are 5 and 10 years ahead, there's an amount of money, but they have the quality of life that you want. Do they have the marriage that you want? Do they have the relationships with their kids that you want? The quality of life comes out. And then that goes back to the type of money. And that was where it was just bringing that perspective to me of just because somebody is 5 and 10 years down the road from you and they look successful from the outside, they may be totally broken on the inside. They might be on their third marriage, unfortunately. They might be, no telling. And so when I kind of put that into practice, it's like you start looking at people like, man, I would love to have all those things. And it's like, yeah, but do you want the stuff that comes along with that if you're not careful?
Right.
And I think if you're not...
Are you prepared for it?
Or if you're not surrounding yourself, correct. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's sometimes trips people up as they start looking at the status aspect, the facade of things, probably.
And I think you just have to be careful. A couple of quick points just to wrap this episode up, though, especially in the faith that moves heaven. Provision shows up, peace will guard you, and power flows. Okay? All of those things are just really important things to remember, that when you're walking out your faith-filled journey and the call that God has on your life is that provision will come and peace will guard you, and that power flows in you and through you in the authority of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And
It's spoken.
when you do that, it'll happen, right? But what we have to remember is that the step comes first. Step into your obedience, step into your calling, and God will pave the way.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. God cannot steer a parked car.
Right.
And so taking those obedient steps, and they might seem infant. I mean, you have to crawl before you walk.
Right.
We don't look at a toddler, and as you see them trying to walk, and then they fall down, and you're like, ha, told you, just, you don't laugh at them. You're like, come on, buddy, you can do it again. Like, get up, let's do it. We're encouraging to them. We can do that to others. Like, why don't we do that to ourselves?
Right. Well, and I think it's really important for us all to remember that God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, when you really break down, he equips the called, is that you're not equipped when you start. But he knows that he has planted in you what it takes to make that come to fruition. And rest easy in that you don't have to have it all perfect. You don't have to have it all planned out. It doesn't have to be that way. And it's still going to work out. And I'm preaching to the choir here because I'm a perfectionist at heart. I liked my type A personality of I like to have it all planned out.
As
But
a matter of
that's
fact,
okay.
let's unpack that just for a second. Woo! So type A that it's like things have, they can't touch. They have to be in these certain containers. We had to go buy containers today for our fruit so that it could airflow through it and it would dry so it wouldn't be moist and then grow mold. And I mean, and then
We're
sometimes
going with this. I like my fruit touching.
I don't know where that.
I just feel like my fruit touching my salad.
Yes. You like to separate things out, but it was. I don't really know where that story was going, to be honest. Just your very perfectionist mindset. I don't know. I lost that one. It was there. Then you said that. I don't know. It'll come back to me.
I do like to have everything planned out.
Yeah.
I really do. Even,
stacked in the right container sizes. Maybe that was where I was going. It's like it has to be in the right. And I got the wrong one, and I'm told no, that's not the right one, and I'm just glad to get it done.
I frequently tell you no, that's not the right container.
Well, if you don't, our kids do. That is.
I was going to say, I don't think
one of them
I've
corrects
accept that.
One of them corrects me somewhere along the way, and they're like, Dad,
his
that's
defense,
not the right container.
He has 3 daughters. They're going to find something to correct for sure.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is, again, there's other components to this, I think, where we're going in this sequence or this series still.
Yep.
There's a little bit more.
There's another episode to follow this one.
Because there's a bit more to still unpack.
Which is when God invites you in. What does that look like for you?
Yeah.
And how does that look?
Yeah.
We're all, the thing is, like, none of us are on the exact same path, but we're all headed in the right direction. And that right direction is heaven.
Yeah.
And building the kingdom for God here on earth.
And I think the importance of having the community, and I think that goes back to us starting the podcast, feeling that call to do this, and the exciting things that are actually to come this spring and summer. The book launching later in the year, but the community itself. How do you plug in and get more? How do I dive deeper in this? Because again, these are great stories that we can share, but it's like, well, what do I do with it? And so that is on the horizon for you, but more to come with that one. But again, if something was impactful out of today's episode, or something that resonated, or maybe it was a nugget that I shared or that Kersha shared, that you think, man, this could impact somebody, just send it to them. And even if it's just, hey, listen, the whole thing, look for this few awesome. That is the goal of this, is how do we impact other people? How do we encourage other people and give hope and encouragement, when that is probably the biggest thing that we're lacking right now? And not only the United States, I'm talking globally in that sense right now. So if you're not already active, subscribed, and following, please do so. That's how our community grows. Anything else in closing from you?
No.
Until next time, thank you for joining another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. Have a great day.
Bye.